The notification from the Mitchell family only group chat pinged on my phone while I was making dinner. I glanced at it briefly, seeing my mother-in-law Margaret's name pop up. At 31 years old, I should have known better than to read anything from her. 4 years of marriage to Daniel had taught me that his mother's messages about me were rarely kind. This wasn't the first time she had said something hurtful. It certainly wouldn't be the last. I continued chopping vegetables while my phone kept lighting up with new messages. The group chat had been created 3 years ago after our wedding. Margaret had insisted we needed a space for family matters. She had added everyone except me initially. Daniel had to ask her twice to include me in the chat. Even then, she had made it clear the chat was primarily for blood Mitchells. My curiosity got the better of me. I picked up my phone and opened the conversation. Margaret had started a thread about the upcoming family reunion in August. She was discussing sleeping arrangements at her lake house. Nothing unusual at first. Then I saw it. Daniel and Sophia can take the guest room downstairs. It's smaller, but Sophia won't mind. She's used to cramped spaces from growing up in her country. My heart sank as I stared at the message. My name is Valeria, not Sophia. Sophia was Daniel's ex-girlfriend from college. They had dated for 2 years before breaking up. I had never even met her. Margaret had been mixing up our names since Daniel first introduced me. 4 years of marriage, and she still accidentally called me by his ex's name. The worst part wasn't the name mistake. It was the comment about my country. I had moved from Colombia to Canada when I was 12 years old. Toronto had been my home for 19 years. Margaret knew this. She simply chose to ignore it. In her mind, I would always be the foreign girl who stole her son. More messages followed quickly. Is Sophia making that spicy food again for the potluck? Maybe suggest something more normal this time. Robert's stomach was upset for days after Easter. Jennifer, my sister-in-law, had chimed in immediately. Don't worry, I've already told Daniel to bring my potato salad recipe instead. Sophia can help him make it if she wants. Margaret's reply came seconds later. I scrolled through 5 more messages. Each one discussed me as if I weren't in the chat. Each one called me Sophia. Each one contained some small dig about my cooking, my background, or my personality. No one corrected the name, not even Daniel. Speaking of Daniel, where was he in this conversation? I scrolled back up. There he was, right in the middle. Mom, we'll bring whatever works best for everyone. Just let me know what you need. No correction about my name, no defense of my cooking, nothing. The vegetables on the cutting board were forgotten as I continued reading. The conversation had shifted to the family photo they wanted to take at the reunion. We should do one with just the original Mitchells first, then add in Sophia for a couple. Margaret had written this just 20 minutes ago. Good idea, Mom. The lighting is always better for the first few shots anyway, Jennifer had agreed. These comments weren't new. At Christmas, Margaret had arranged a quick family photo while I was in the bathroom. At Thanksgiving, she had suggested I take the photos, since I enjoyed photography. At Easter, she had taken 15 photos of just the siblings before reluctantly including me in one. The pattern was impossible to ignore. What hurt most was Daniel's silence. He never objected. He stood for photos without me. He ate his mother's food while mine was barely touched. He laughed when Margaret called me Sophia, saying she was just getting confused in her older age. She was only 58 years old, with a memory sharp enough to recall every detail of Daniel's childhood. The next message made me freeze. Has anyone else noticed how Sophia keeps pushing to be included in everything? The family recipes, the vacation planning, even trying to change our traditions. I'm trying to be patient, but it's exhausting dealing with her neediness. 6 people had liked this message, including Daniel. My hands trembled as I set down the phone. This was different from the usual passive-aggressive comments. This was direct, cruel, intentional, and my husband had liked it. 2 months ago, Daniel and I had attended his cousin's wedding. Margaret had been in charge of arranging tables. She had placed me at a table with distant relatives, while Daniel sat with the immediate family. When I had asked why we weren't seated together, Margaret had smiled sweetly. "Oh, I just thought you'd enjoy getting to know the extended family better. Besides, this table is really just for people who have been Mitchells forever." Daniel shrugged it off. "It's just for dinner, Val. Don't make a big deal out of it." I had spent the entire reception trying to make conversation with people who barely knew who I was. Meanwhile, Daniel had laughed and reminisced with his family at the main table. Last month, Margaret had organized a surprise birthday party for Daniel. I had discovered it accidentally when Jennifer called our house and mentioned it, thinking I already knew. When I'd confronted Margaret, she had been unapologetic. "I wanted to surprise both of you," she had claimed. "Besides, these things are easier to organize with fewer people involved." The party had been planned for 3 months. 30 people had known about it. Everyone except me. Just last week, Margaret had questioned my career choice during Sunday dinner. "Digital marketing seems so unstable," she had said while passing the potatoes. "Have you thought about something more reliable? Teaching, perhaps, though your accent might be distracting for the children." 8 people around the table had heard this comment. No one had spoken up. Daniel had changed the subject to sports. I returned to the group chat, still active with new messages. Margaret was now discussing my clothes. "Sophia wore that inappropriate dress to church last week. I was so embarrassed introducing her to Pastor Williams. She just doesn't understand our community standards." The dress had been a simple, floral, knee-length dress, nothing revealing or inappropriate. I had specifically bought it for church, wanting to make a good impression. Clearly, nothing I did was ever going to be enough. As I continued reading, I noticed something odd. The chat showed all participants at the top of the screen. My name was still there, meaning I hadn't been removed. Did they not realize I could see everything they were writing? Did they simply not care? Then it hit me. They had started a new chat without me. This conversation was happening in the old group that they thought was defunct. Margaret had accidentally messaged the wrong group. That's why they were speaking so freely. My finger hovered over the keyboard. I could respond right now, let them know I had seen everything. But something stopped me. Instead, I took screenshots, one after another. Every message, every insult, every time my husband failed to defend me, every time he actively participated in their cruelty. After capturing the evidence, I set my phone down. A strange calm settled over me. For years, I had doubted myself. Maybe I was too sensitive. Maybe I was imagining the hostility. Maybe I really didn't understand their ways. Now I had proof. "I've been so blind," I whispered to the empty kitchen. Something shifted inside me at that moment. A line had been crossed. No more making excuses. No more blaming myself. No more trying to win approval from people who had already decided not to give it. I picked up my phone and took one final screenshot. Then I typed my first and only message to the group. "My name is Valeria." 3 days passed before anyone mentioned the group chat incident. Margaret called first thing Saturday morning. "Margaret, dear, about those messages. You know how technology confuses me. I meant to send those to another chat." No apology, No acknowledgement of what had been said, just an excuse about technology from a woman who managed 3 different social media accounts perfectly. Which other chat needed to discuss me, Margaret? My voice remained steady, surprising even myself. Well, that's not. Jennifer and I were just discussing the reunion. You misunderstood the context. The context of calling me by the wrong name, or the context of mocking my heritage? I pressed on, my newfound confidence growing with each word. You're being overly sensitive. That's always been your problem. Her tone sharpened. I've tried so hard to welcome you into our family, but you're determined to find offense where none exists. In the past, this would have sent me spiraling into self-doubt. Not today. I won't be attending Sunday dinner tomorrow. Please let everyone know. I kept my voice calm and firm. But we always have Sunday dinner. Daniel will be disappointed. What am I supposed to tell everyone? The panic in her voice was unmistakable. Her control was slipping. Tell them whatever you want, Margaret. You usually do. I ended the call before she could respond. My hands weren't shaking. My heart wasn't racing. For the first time in 4 years, I felt in control of my relationship with my mother-in-law. Daniel returned from his morning run 30 minutes later. Margaret had already called him. Mom says you're not coming to dinner tomorrow. What's going on? He grabbed a water bottle from the fridge, barely looking at me. I'm taking a break from family gatherings for a while. I continued working on my laptop, not making the eye contact he expected. Because of some silly messages? Mom apologized already. She said you misunderstood. I closed my laptop and faced him directly. Did you misunderstand when you liked her message about me being needy and exhausting? His face flushed. I didn't. It wasn't about you specifically. It had my name in it, Daniel. Well, Sophia's name, which your mother still uses after 4 years of marriage. She gets confused sometimes. The excuse sounded weak even to him. No, she doesn't. I opened the screenshots and handed him my phone. Read all of them, then tell me if you still think I'm overreacting. He scrolled through silently. His expression shifted from annoyance to embarrassment to shame. I didn't see all of these messages. His voice was quiet. I should have said something. Yes, you should have. I took back my phone. I'm not asking you to choose between me and your family. I'm asking you to stop them from treating me like an unwelcome outsider. Daniel nodded slowly. I'll talk to them. No, I don't want you to talk to them. I want you to stand with me. There's a difference. For the first time in our marriage, I didn't rush to smooth things over. I didn't apologize for causing tension. I simply stated my boundary and let it stand. That evening, Jennifer called. Her voice dripped with artificial sweetness. Valeria, Mom told me you're upset about some group chat confusion. We'd really love to see you tomorrow. Mom's making her special roast. I'm not coming, Jennifer, but thank you for the invitation. Is this really necessary? You're making Mom feel terrible. How I feel has never seemed to concern any of you. Why should your mother's feelings concern me now? Jennifer's tone changed instantly. You know this attitude isn't helping anything. Daniel has always said you're too sensitive. That revelation stung, but I refused to show it. Goodbye, Jennifer. I declined 5 separate calls from Margaret that weekend. I returned none of Daniel's family's texts. Instead, I focused on myself. Sunday morning, while the Mitchell family gathered without me, I met my friend Camilla for brunch. We had been close in college, but had drifted apart after my marriage. Margaret had always made comments about my loud Latina friends, and I had gradually stopped inviting them over. I've missed this, Camilla said as we caught up over coffee. You disappeared into that marriage for a while. I know. I got lost trying to be someone the Mitchells would accept. How's that working out for you? Camilla grinned. Terribly. Turns out nothing I do will ever be good enough. We laughed, and it felt like breathing fresh air after years underground. After brunch, we went to a photography exhibit I had wanted to see for weeks. Photography had been my passion before marriage, before I started spending all my energy trying to please the Mitchells. Over the next 3 weeks, I reclaimed more of myself. I rejoined my old photography club. I started cooking Colombian dishes again without worrying about strange spices. I spoke Spanish freely when calling my parents. I declined 2 more Sunday dinners and a Saturday barbecue at Jennifer's house. Daniel was confused by the changes at first. He alternated between supportive and frustrated. "Mom thinks you're pulling away from the family deliberately," he said one evening. "I'm not pulling away. I'm establishing boundaries." "Can't you establish boundaries while still attending family functions?" "I tried that for 4 years, Daniel. It didn't work." At work, I threw myself into a major campaign for a new client. My boss noticed the change in my performance. "Whatever's happened in your personal life, it's working wonders for your professional one," she commented after I presented my strategy. "This is your best work yet." 2 days later, she called me into her office. I feared I had overstepped somehow, but her broad smile suggested otherwise. "The Global Marketing Excellence Committee called this morning. Your campaign for Riverside Technologies has been shortlisted for their annual Innovation Award." I stared at her in shock. "The GMEEC Award? Are you serious?" "Absolutely serious. Only 5 campaigns worldwide were selected. The ceremony is in New York next month. The agency will cover all expenses, of course." My hands trembled as I accepted the official notification. This was the most prestigious recognition in our industry. Nominees received significant media coverage. Winners often doubled their salaries within a year with new opportunities. "This is incredible," I whispered, reading the email. "I never expected this." "You deserve it, Valeria. Your perspective is unique in this industry. Your multicultural background gives you insights others simply don't have. The very thing Margaret criticized about me, my Colombian heritage, was now being celebrated as a professional asset." That evening, I shared the news with Camilla over the phone. Her excited screams made me hold the phone away from my ear. "This is huge, Val! We're celebrating this weekend, no excuses." I hadn't told Daniel yet. He had texted saying he would be late, stuck at a family dinner I hadn't attended. Part of me wanted to call him immediately. The other part wanted to savor this moment for myself first. When Daniel finally came home, he looked tired from navigating family tensions without me. "Mom asked about you again. She says you're welcome to come back whenever you're done making your point." I didn't rise to the bait. "I've been nominated for the Global Marketing Excellence Award." His expression shifted instantly. "What? That's the big international one, right? Val, that's amazing." For a brief moment, we were just us again, Daniel and Valeria, supporting each other's dreams. Before Margaret, before the family dynamics, before I became Sophia from that country. "The ceremony's in New York next month. Would you come with me?" "Of course. We should celebrate. Let's tell everyone at Sunday dinner this week." And just like that, the bubble burst. His first instinct was still to share my news with his family. The same people who belittled my career and heritage. "I'm not ready to share this with your family yet. This is my achievement. I want to enjoy it without their judgment." Daniel looked confused. "They'd be happy for you." "Would they? Would your mother be happy that my unstable career has earned international recognition? Would Jennifer congratulate me sincerely?" His silence was answer enough. This award nomination is mine. Just mine. For once, I don't want to share something important with people who have never valued me. As the words left my mouth, I realized how truly I meant them. This award nomination wasn't just professional recognition. It was validation that I was enough exactly as I was. No name changes needed, no cultural erasure required. My authentic self was not just acceptable, it was exceptional. 6 weeks passed in a blur of activity. My days filled with preparations for the award ceremony, meetings with the agency's PR team, and an interview with Marketing Monthly magazine. My campaign was gaining attention across the industry, bringing new clients to our agency. My boss had hinted at a promotion regardless of whether I won the award. "Your nomination alone has put us on the map," she had said during our last meeting. "We've received 7 new client inquiries specifically asking for you." At home, things with Daniel had reached an uneasy balance. He had stopped pressing me to attend family functions. I had gone to one Sunday dinner 3 weeks ago, setting clear boundaries beforehand. "I'll stay for 2 hours, I won't respond to passive-aggressive comments, and if anyone calls me Sophia, I'm leaving immediately," I had told him in the car. Margaret had been on her best behavior that evening, almost too polite. She had used my correct name, she had complimented my dress, she had even asked about my work, though her smile never reached her eyes. The performance had fooled Daniel. It hadn't fooled me. "See, that wasn't so bad," he had said on the drive home. "Mom's really trying. She's really trying to get things back to normal," I had corrected him. "Normal where I stay quiet and accept whatever scraps of approval she offers." He hadn't argued. The evidence from the group chat was still too fresh. Today marked 8 weeks since I had discovered those messages. 8 weeks of reclaiming my identity. 8 weeks of setting boundaries. 8 weeks of remembering who Valeria Martinez Mitchell really was. My phone buzzed with a text from Daniel. "Mom's 60th birthday dinner next Saturday, fancy restaurant downtown. She really wants you there. Please come, for me." I stared at the message for a long time. Margaret's birthday celebration would include extended family, friends from her charity board, former colleagues from her principal days, at least 30 people, all of whom had heard her version of me over the years. Before I could respond, another text arrived. "Everyone's asking about the award nomination. Mom wants to make a toast to you, too." That gave me pause. Margaret had never acknowledged my professional accomplishments before. Was this a genuine olive branch, or another performance for witnesses? "I'll think about it," I replied finally. The next morning, I received a rare direct text from Margaret. "Valeria, I hope you'll join us for my birthday celebration. I've reserved the private room at Bellini's for 25 guests. Very elegant. Daniel says your award ceremony is the following weekend. Perhaps we could discuss your outfit options. I wouldn't want you to make the wrong impression on such an important occasion." There it was, the familiar criticism wrapped in helpful concern. Some things never changed. I showed the text to Camilla over lunch. "Classic passive-aggressive nonsense," she said, rolling her eyes. "Are you going to go?" "I'm considering it." I stirred my coffee thoughtfully. "Daniel really wants me there. And what do you want?" The question stopped me short. What did I want? After weeks of setting boundaries and prioritizing myself, did I want to step back into that environment? Did I want to subject myself to Margaret's backhanded compliments and Jennifer's fake smiles? "I want to go on my terms," I said finally, not as the meek daughter-in-law seeking approval, but as myself, award nominee, successful professional, proud Colombian Canadian. Camila raised her water glass in a toast. Now that's the Valeria I remember. That evening, I told Daniel I would attend a birthday dinner. His relief was palpable. Thank you. This means a lot to me. And to Mom. I'm not going for your mother, Daniel. I'm going because avoiding her forever isn't the solution either. But I'm going as myself, not as whoever she wants me to be. He nodded slowly. I understand. 3 days before the birthday dinner, something strange happened. Daniel left his laptop open on the kitchen counter while taking a shower. A notification popped up from his email. The subject line caught my eye. R.E. Valeria's award ceremony, travel arrangements. I shouldn't look. It was Daniel's private email. But my name was right there in the subject line. My award ceremony. My accomplishment. Why were there email exchanges about it that didn't include me? I clicked on the notification. The email opened to a conversation thread between Daniel, his mother, and Jennifer. The most recent message was from Margaret. Daniel, I've spoken with Barbara Wilson from the country club. Her daughter works for Taylor & Klein Marketing in New York. She says these GMEC nominations are often just publicity stunts. Valeria's agency is probably using her diversity background for attention. I wouldn't rearrange our family vacation for this. The lake house is already booked for that weekend. Remember how much you've always loved our August trip? My hands trembled as I scrolled up to Daniel's original email. Mom, Valeria's award ceremony is the same weekend as our annual lake house trip. This is really important to her. Can we possibly reschedule the family vacation this one time? I need to be there to support her. Jennifer had responded within minutes. Are you seriously asking us to change a 15-year family tradition for Valeria's work thing? Mom has already invited the Petersons and the Williamsons. Everyone has taken time off. You can't expect 20 people to rearrange their schedules. I kept scrolling, sick to my stomach. More emails appeared, all discussing me, all dismissing my accomplishment, all pressuring Daniel to choose the lake house over my award ceremony. The most disturbing email was from 2 weeks ago, from Margaret to Daniel. I've been thinking about Valeria's recent attitude. This distance from the family isn't healthy. The award nomination seems to have given her an inflated sense of importance. Rebecca's daughter went through a similar phase with her husband. They divorced 6 months later. Is everything okay between you two? Sophia never put her career before your relationship. Just something to consider. Sophia, again. She was still bringing up the ex-girlfriend, still comparing us, still trying to drive a wedge between Daniel and me. Another email from Jennifer appeared lower in the thread. Attached are some photos from Jason's birthday last year. Remember how Sophia surprised you with that signed hockey jersey? Those were good times, simpler times, before everything got so complicated. They were actively trying to make Daniel nostalgic for his ex. They were strategizing against me, and they were succeeding. Daniel's response to all this was the final blow. I understand the lake house trip is important. I'll talk to Valeria about possibly attending the ceremony alone. Maybe I can fly down for one night and rejoin the family vacation the next day. I'm sure we can work something out. Work something out, without even discussing it with me. The award ceremony was in 9 days. He had never once mentioned this conflict to me. I scrolled back to the top of the email chain. The most recent emails were from yesterday. Margaret had sent a separate email outside the thread with the subject line, "Dinner seating for Saturday." I've arranged the seating chart for my birthday dinner, attached for your approval. I've seated Valeria between Robert and Aunt Sharon. You'll be at my table with Jennifer, Mark, and the Wilsons. Barbara's son Matthew is joining us. You'll remember him. He's single again and just bought that beautiful condo downtown. Jennifer thought you might enjoy catching up. Daniel's reply, "Looks good, Mom. Thanks for organizing everything so perfectly, as always." They were still separating us at events. They were still trying to connect Daniel with other women. They were actively working to undermine our marriage, and Daniel was letting it happen. I closed the laptop exactly as I had found it. My mind raced with implications. This wasn't just casual dislike or adjustment difficulties. This was a coordinated, long-term campaign against me, against my marriage, against my place in Daniel's life. The screenshots from the family chat had been just the tip of the iceberg. The real conspiracy ran much deeper, and now I had proof. "Shower's free," Daniel called from the bedroom, completely unaware of what I had discovered. "Thanks," I answered automatically, my voice surprisingly steady. I picked up my phone and took photos of the email chain. Evidence upon evidence. The truth I had sensed but could never quite prove. Margaret's birthday dinner was now circled in my mind, not as an obligation to endure, not as a peace offering to accept, but as the perfect opportunity to finally address what had been happening behind my back for 4 years. 25 witnesses would be present. Margaret's carefully curated audience would hear the truth. The stage she had set so perfectly for her celebration would serve a very different purpose. As I prepared for bed that night, Daniel checked his phone one last time. "Daniel says she's so happy you're coming on Saturday. She says it means the world to her." I smiled, a calm settling over me. I wouldn't miss it for anything. Bellini's restaurant glowed with warm lighting as we arrived from Margaret's 60th birthday celebration. Crystal chandeliers hung from high ceilings. White tablecloths draped over 25 place settings. Floral centerpieces in Margaret's favorite purple and white color scheme adorned each table. A banner reading "Happy 60th Birthday, Margaret" stretched across one wall. Daniel held the door for me as we entered the private dining room. It was 6:30 in the evening. Most guests had already arrived. 23 people mingled with champagne glasses in hand. Margaret stood near the center of the room, resplendent in a silver dress that had undoubtedly cost a small fortune. "There's the birthday girl," Daniel said, guiding me toward his mother. Margaret's smile widened as she saw her son approach. The smile dimmed slightly when her eyes moved to me. "Daniel, you're finally here!" She embraced him warmly. "And Valeria, lovely dress. Is that new?" "Thank you, Margaret. Happy birthday." I kissed her cheek, playing my part perfectly. "Everyone's been asking about you," she said, though I noticed no one was looking our way. "I told them all about your little award nomination. Barbara's daughter works in marketing too, you know. Much bigger firm than yours." And there it was, less than 30 seconds into the conversation. "How interesting," I replied, maintaining my smile. "I look forward to meeting her." Margaret turned back to Daniel. "Darling, the Wilsons are over by the window. Matthew just got back from Europe. You should say hello." "Sure, Mom." Daniel squeezed my hand. "Coming, Val?" "Actually, I see Aunt Sharon. I'll catch up with you in a minute." Daniel headed toward the Wilsons while I made my way to Robert and Sharon. Margaret's sister had always been the most genuine of the family. She greeted me with a warm hug. "Valeria, it's been too long. Robert was just saying he misses your flan dessert." Robert nodded. "Best thing at Sunday dinners. We've missed seeing you." Their sincerity was a welcome change from the manufactured politeness elsewhere in the room. We chatted briefly before I excused myself to get a drink. From the bar, I observed the room dynamics. Margaret held court near the center, accepting compliments and gifts. Jennifer flitted between guests, playing co-hostess. Daniel was deep in conversation with a tall man I assumed was Matthew Wilson. Various family friends and relatives clustered in small groups, many glancing curiously in my direction. The seating chart was posted near the entrance. Just as the email had revealed, Daniel and I were seated at different tables. My place card was between Robert and Sharon. Daniel's was at the head table with Margaret, Jennifer, and the Wilsons. I checked my watch. 7:15. Dinner would be served at 7:30. Toasts would begin at 8. My timing needed to be perfect. Jennifer approached with a thin smile. "Valeria, there you are. Mom was wondering if you brought the birthday card Daniel mentioned." "I have it right here," I patted my clutch bag. Inside was not only Margaret's birthday card, but also printouts of the most damning emails and group chat messages. Perfect. She'll open gifts and cards after the main course. Jennifer's gaze drifted over my shoulder. "Oh, I should check on the wine situation. Excuse me." By 7:20, everyone was finding their assigned seats. I located Robert and Sharon, making pleasant conversation as servers brought out the appetizers. Across the room, Daniel caught my eye and gave an apologetic shrug about the seating arrangement. The first course came and went. The main course followed. Margaret periodically stood to visit different tables, receiving birthday wishes from each guest. When she reached our table, she placed a hand on my shoulder. "Valeria, I'm so glad you could join us tonight. I know things have been different lately, but family is family. We work through difficulties." Sharon nodded approvingly at her sister's apparent olive branch. If only she knew. "Absolutely, Margaret. Nothing is more important than honesty in families." My pointed response went unnoticed as she moved to the next table. At 8 o'clock precisely, Jennifer tapped her glass with a spoon. The room quieted. "Thank you all for coming to celebrate our amazing mother on her 60th birthday. Before dessert, we'd like to offer some toasts to the woman who means so much to all of us." Jennifer launched into a glowing tribute to Margaret's qualities as a mother, sister, friend, and community member. Mark, her husband, followed with anecdotes about Margaret's generosity. 2 longtime friends spoke about her loyalty and kindness. Then Jennifer turned to Daniel. "I believe my brother has something to say about our wonderful mom." Daniel stood, champagne glass in hand. "Mom, you've always been our family's center. You've taught us the importance of family loyalty and traditions. You've shown us how to maintain connections no matter what." Margaret beamed with pride as Daniel continued praising her role in the family. The irony wasn't lost on me. Family loyalty, connections, the very things she had actively worked to deny me. As Daniel finished his toast, Jennifer looked around the room. Would anyone else like to say a few words? My moment had arrived. I stood slowly, champagne glass in hand. 23 faces turned toward me. Jennifer looked surprised. Margaret's smile faltered slightly. "I'd like to say something, if I may." Jennifer nodded, reluctantly. "Of course, Valeria, the floor is yours." I moved to the small open area where previous speakers had stood. All eyes followed me. The room fell completely silent. For those who don't know me well, I'm Valeria Martinez Mitchell, Daniel's wife of 4 years. I paused, taking in the room. Margaret's expression had shifted from mild concern to visible anxiety. Marriage into a new family isn't always easy. Cultural differences, new traditions, different expectations, these can all create challenges. I've spent 4 years trying to navigate those challenges with the Mitchell family. Nods of understanding from several guests. Margaret's friends exchanged knowing glances. What I didn't realize was that some of those challenges were being deliberately created. The room temperature seemed to drop several degrees. Margaret's smile froze in place. 3 months ago, I discovered something interesting in the Mitchell family group chat, a conversation where I was repeatedly called by the wrong name, where my heritage was mocked, where my efforts to connect with my new family were described as needy and exhausting. I removed my phone from my purse and held it up. I have screenshots, if anyone's interested. 23 messages in total. 6 from Margaret, 4 from Jennifer, 3 from Daniel himself. Daniel's face drained of color. Jennifer's mouth opened in shock. Margaret stood abruptly. Valeria, this is hardly the time or place. Actually, Margaret, I disagree. Your birthday celebration, surrounded by everyone whose opinion you value, seems like exactly the right time and place. Just like family dinners were the right place to exclude me from photos. Just like holidays were the right place to forget to include me in traditions. I set my phone down and retrieved the printed emails from my clutch. 3 days ago, I discovered another interesting conversation. An email thread discussing my professional award nomination. A thread where Margaret suggested my nomination was only due to my diversity background. A thread where she and Jennifer pressured Daniel to skip my award ceremony for a family vacation. Gasps from several guests. Sharon's hand flew to her mouth. Robert stared at his plate, unwilling to meet anyone's eyes. But most interesting was the discussion about seating arrangements for tonight. How Daniel and I should be separated. How Matthew Wilson should be seated with Daniel because he's single again and just bought that beautiful condo downtown. I turned directly to Mrs. Wilson, seated at Margaret's table. Your son seems lovely, Barbara, but I'm not sure he'd appreciate being used in Margaret's ongoing campaign to separate me from my husband. Barbara Wilson's eyes widened in shock. Matthew looked mortified. Margaret stood again, her voice tight with controlled anger. Valeria, you've clearly misunderstood private family discussions. This behavior is exactly why. Why you consistently call me Sophia instead of Valeria? Why you reference my country despite knowing I've lived in Canada since I was 12? Why you exclude me from family photos? Why you arrange seating to separate me from Daniel at every event? I turned to address the entire room. For 4 years, I've tried to understand. I've adjusted my behavior. I've apologized for offenses I never committed. I've accepted blame for tensions I didn't create. I believed if I just tried harder, I would eventually be accepted. My voice remained steady, my gaze moving from face to face. What I didn't understand was that acceptance was never the goal. The goal was my removal. The goal was to make me feel so unwelcome, so inadequate, so perpetually wrong, that I would eventually leave. I turned back to Margaret, whose composed facade was crumbling rapidly. The Mitchell Family Only group chat made that perfectly clear, as did the email suggesting Daniel should reconsider our marriage while reminiscing about his ex-girlfriend. Daniel stood, his expression a mix of shame and shock. Val, I never saw those emails about Sophia. I would never have allowed that. But you did see the ones about my award ceremony. You agreed to skip it for the lake house trip, without ever discussing it with me. The betrayal in my voice was unmistakable. Several guests shifted uncomfortably in their seats. This was not the birthday celebration they had expected. I'm not here to ruin your birthday, Margaret. I'm here to establish truth. For 4 years, you have worked to undermine my marriage and my place in this family. That ends today. I placed the printouts on Margaret's table. These are copies of everything I've mentioned. The group chat messages, the emails, the seating arrangements. I'm keeping the originals, of course. Margaret stared at the papers, her face ashen. Jennifer reached for them, but I moved them just out of reach. These aren't for you, Jennifer. They're for your mother, a birthday gift of accountability. I turned to Daniel, who stood frozen between his mother's table and mine. I won't be attending any more events where I'm treated as an unwelcome outsider. I won't respond to messages where I'm called by another woman's name. I won't participate in traditions designed to exclude me. My gaze swept the room once more. To everyone else, thank you for witnessing this moment. I'm sure Margaret will explain it however she chooses once I leave, but you've heard the truth directly from me. I picked up my purse and turned to go. Sharon reached for my hand. Valeria, wait. Her voice was quiet but clear in the silent room. I've seen how Margaret and Jennifer treat you. I've said nothing for too long. I'm sorry. Robert nodded beside her. We should have spoken up years ago. This isn't right. Two of Margaret's friends exchanged uncomfortable glances. One stood and collected her purse. I think I should be going, Margaret. Happy birthday. As she passed me, she whispered, Good for you, dear. The room remained in stunned silence as I walked toward the door. Daniel finally broke from his trance and hurried after me. Val, please, let me explain. There's nothing to explain, Daniel. Your mother orchestrated a campaign against me. Your sister supported it, and you allowed it for 4 years. I didn't know how bad it was. I swear, I didn't see most of those messages. But you saw enough. You participated enough. You chose their comfort over my dignity enough. His shoulders slumped in defeat. What happens now? That depends on you. I'm going home. You can join me or stay here with your family. But if you come home, we need to have a very different kind of marriage moving forward. One where I'm your partner first and your mother's daughter-in-law second. I left him standing in the doorway, facing the choice I should have asked him to make 4 years ago. 6 months later, I stood on a stage in Toronto, accepting the regional director position at my agency. The GMEX Award ceremony had been a triumph. While I hadn't won the top prize, the nomination had opened doors throughout the industry. My new role came with double my previous salary and a team of 8 reporting to me. Daniel sat in the audience, applauding proudly. Our marriage had survived, but not without significant changes. 3 months of couples therapy had helped him understand the damage his family's behavior had caused. He had finally established firm boundaries with his mother and sister. Margaret and I maintained a distant but civil relationship. Our interactions were limited to major holidays and strictly supervised. She still occasionally called me Sophia, but now Daniel immediately corrected her. The Mitchell family-only chat had been dissolved and replaced with separate conversations that didn't include me. I preferred it that way. Jennifer remained cold and defensive, insisting I had deliberately humiliated her mother. I rarely saw her anymore. Daniel visited his sister without me, an arrangement that worked better for everyone. Robert and Sharon had made genuine efforts to connect independently from Margaret. We occasionally met them for dinner, building relationships outside Margaret's influence. As for Daniel, he had attended my award ceremony in New York. The lake house vacation had proceeded without him. His absence had caused a minor family crisis, but for the first time in our marriage, he had chosen me without hesitation. It was the foundation of our new beginning. "Congratulations on the promotion," he said as we walked to the car after the ceremony. "I'm so proud of you." "Thank you for being here," I replied, meaning far more than just physical presence. He squeezed my hand. "Always, from now on." The Mitchell family-only group chat had long since been deleted from my phone. I no longer needed evidence of their behavior. I no longer needed to prove what I had experienced. The truth had been spoken. The boundaries had been set. And I had discovered something more valuable than family approval. I had discovered my worth was never dependent on their acceptance. It had been within me all along, waiting to be recognized. Not by Margaret, not by Jennifer, not even by Daniel. By me.